get the show going. So, Mike and Dan, why don't you each take a turn and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you got in the industry, and we'll go from there.
All right, Dan.
Leave it to me, right?
Put Dan on the spot.
Well, actually, I've been in and out of the business for about 10 years. I worked with other manufacturers before. We did try the El Tiante brand first time around 10 years ago, 10, 12 years. Through some learning curves and some little bit of changes here and there with the responsibilities of the company, I finally took it over about 5 years ago. At that point, you know, just again, same thing, just learning the business, started to get more involved, and then finally, you know, this year we decided to kind of, Mike and I partnered up and just been doing it, going strong for this first year with a new manufacturer and everything. But cigars with me have been part of my life my whole, you know, since I was a kid, just because my dad always smoked cigars at home, at the ballpark, in the car. It's always been a part of his life, you know, being from Cuba and everything. And it's just been kind of something that I've always enjoyed.
Nice. How about yourself, Mike?
Well, my background is more in a general business background. I've been involved in the finance industry for my entire career, pretty much. And then I became friends with Danny and got to know his father and the rest of his family. And then about a year ago or so, a little more than a year ago now, about a year and a half ago, he and I started talking about partnering up and making the transition we made this last year and releasing the new blends. And I've been smoking cigars for about 15, 16 years, and always loved them. I had cigar manufacturers come to me to taste their blends and things like that over the years, and sort of give they use my palate when doing blending and help use me to help them get the word out about their blends when they came out to other cigar smokers in the Northeast area where I live. And when the opportunity presented itself and to partner up with Dan and go hard with coming out with some new blends and taking the company to a new level, I jumped at it, and here we are today, and things are going well.
Nice. Well, why don't you guys tell everybody in the chat room a little bit about both the blends that you have out right now.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right. Well, we have two blends. We've got.
We'll alternate.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'll just point the questions towards you. How's that?
Yeah.
There we go.
You just start every question with Dan. Why don't you go first and answer?
All right, Mike, go ahead.
So, yeah, we have two blends. We came out, we started working with the folks at the My Father Cigars Company, Jaime Garcia and Pepin Garcia, on some new blends about a year ago, a little more than a year ago. And the two blends we came up with, we told them we wanted to be in the medium to full bodied range, which is sort of the sweet spot of what they do and have become known for around the industry. So what we ended up with was two blends. One's the Habano Rosado. For those of you that have seen our blends or looked them up online, that's the one that has the red band. It's a medium to full bodied stick, Nicaraguan binder and filler, Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. And then there's the Habano Oscuro, which is also Nicaraguan binder and filler, and an Ecuadorian Oscuro wrapper. And I think one of that Ecuadorian wrapper has been becoming sort of a hot item in the industry for the last few years, and especially in the last year or so. And Pepin and Jaime have really become known as sort of the blenders that are at the forefront of using that particular wrapper to great success. So as you guys know, the cigars have been pretty well received, and we've been getting a lot of great feedback from them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm smoking the Rosado, and I believe, Mike, you're smoking the Oscuro.
I got the
correct?
Oscuro smoking. Yeah, I hold it up to the camera like everybody can see me. Duh.
Yeah, right.
I can see it, Mike. It looks great.
Yeah.
I can see it. It looks great.
Yeah, it looks beautiful from here, Mike. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, everyone in the chat room.
Yeah, you're screwed. Sorry. So it appears we're still cutting in and out, but we're just going to keep going with this show. But yeah, where I want to take it now. Well, let me ask you this: how did you come about working with the Garcia family?
I'll answer this one. Well, you know, again, being in the business for several years now, I got to know Pepin real well throughout the IPCPR shows, the Big Smoke in Connecticut when they had it at Foxwoods, and you know, going to these shows with my dad actually was a big plus for us. So many of the guys in this industry, being Cuban, Dominican, big baseball followers, right away caught on that my dad was involved and he was at these shows. And in this case, it developed a really strong relationship between Pepin, my dad, Jaime, and myself. You know, and we just started talking, I'd say about a good 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, about the possibility of doing something. It was just a loose conversation. But it was basically left that, you know, once we were ready to make a move and do something with them, they would receive us with open arms. And once I felt comfortable with where we were going in our direction with the company and the moves that I wanted to make, you know, and that's pretty much around the same time that Mike and I started talking. We decided, you know what, let's reach out to them. And from that point on, we went down to Esteli, had conversations with them. I would see Yanni and Jaime in Miami frequently. And we just went from there.
Nice. Well, for those of you who may not know, I'm not sure who doesn't know, but Dan's dad is the great Louis Tiant, from former Red Sox pitcher. So I had to throw that out there because Mikey is a Phillies fan. I got to keep rubbing that in.
I was gonna put
Mike, you got anything you want to ask
me today, and with the video not working, no one would have ever seen it anyway.
You schmuck. Mike, why don't you? Oh, you don't have the chat room up, so go ahead, Mike. Ask a question, and I'll get the chat room up because I know you don't have it up.
I got everything up. Yeah.
Oh, you do? Why don't you ask Gary's question, man? Oh, okay.
What's going on? What's been the best seller so far?
Or you want me to keep going with it?
Is that Gary Titus you're asking a question for?
What was that, Mike?
Is that Gary Titus that's asking a question?
Yeah.
Good man.
I can read. I can see the questions here since I have it up.
Okay, so he wants to know what's the best seller so far.
You know what? It's been on a blend. I mean, if you're talking blends, it's kind of been right down the middle. We've seen in the market with our retailers that, and I look in our humidor here in our storage, that we're pretty much right down the middle when it comes to Scuro to Rosado as far as sales go. People seem to be enjoying both blends equally.
Mm-hmm.
On a size standpoint, I'd have to say the Toro is our best seller right now, followed by the Robusto and the Toro 6x60. Recently, I've noticed has been gaining ground. A lot of orders in the Toro Gordo size. So, I mean, if I was to answer that, really, I'd say on a blend, it's 50-50, and as far as the Vitola goes, I'd go with the Toro 6x50.
There you go.
Are you sure, Dan, that that's because of the sales, or is it because your dad and I smoke Toros?
It's sales.
I would say, guys,
you guys are depleting my my inventory down here. I got to say, you're killing me.
You know, we'd be a lot more profitable if Dan's dad and I didn't smoke so many damn cigars. I would say, though, early on, I mean, we just launched these really like 3 months ago. I mean, and really about 2 months of heavy shipping, getting orders and building out the sales force.
Right.
And we're still actively, obviously, looking to build out the sales force nationally. But initially you would expect that the orders would be right sort of down the middle as stores take them on as a new line for their particular location. So I think we'll know more about what's selling at the consumer level in the next few months. My last look at our inventory actually shows that the Rosado looks like they're moving off the shelf a little bit quicker. And I don't know if that could just be pure happenstance that people are trying to move the milder of the two blends.
Right.
And we'll know more as the next few months pass as to when the reorders come in and what stores are replacing. But I would say it's pretty darn close down the middle.
Go ahead, Mikey. Take it away.
Oh, what? Holy hell!
Come on, are you paying attention? Take it away. You see what I said?
He throws me under the bus now. Look at that.
My lips are getting tired. I'm asking all the questions. Come on, do something.
Because you're a Philly fan.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. What are we going to do here? I know the initial blend that you had out. What was the decision, or how was the decision to drop that and restart with Pepin and My Father cigars?
Well, you know, the original blends that we had were not bad blends. I mean, it wasn't like the cigars were not good. You know, you make a move with somebody like a Pepin, his name alone is just throughout this industry. He's a rock star. I mean, everything that man does, anything that comes out of that factory is just a well-made cigar, full of flavor, and they're great in the market. So on a business standpoint, it was something we looked at it, and it was almost a common sense type of move to do. The changes that we did, or why we did the changes, were what I noticed before, and you know, it was mentioned how my dad played ball. We wanted to go a more serious route with our cigars now. We wanted people to take us serious instead of looking at the cigar as a novelty item. Our previous blends had the 23 on it. It had the Red Sox colors. It had my dad's image playing baseball. So if you weren't a Red Sox fan or a baseball fan, you kind of looked at it and just walked away. You know, and that's what I started noticing. You know, our sales were pretty steady, but we weren't getting outside of the New England market. So, you know, that's the reason when we made this move, really, on top of a good business move, and was we wanted people in the industry to take us more on a serious note. You know, this is a cigar. It's a well-made cigar. It you know, don't look at it as like, oh, it's a Red Sox cigar. Let's buy it during Red Sox season, and that's it. Right. You know, so that really was one of the main reasons why we made those changes, or I made those changes.
It was.
Then I would just add to that once Dan and I went down to Esteli to actually have the actual negotiations with them as to how we wanted to proceed. When they take, I don't know if anyone that's been to their factory, I don't know if the two Mikes have been to their factory or not.
No.
But if you ever get a chance, you should go, because when they take you on a tour of that factory, you just see how everything is, the quality control, and how everything is so precise. And when you're running a cigar business and you don't own the factory, which obviously we do not, it's real important that you have confidence that the factory can deliver what you need them to deliver on a consistent basis, quality-wise. They can do it in a timely fashion. One of the biggest problems that all cigar companies face, but especially new ones, is getting boxes done on time. So you can have, a lot of times companies will have they'll back order their retailers because they can't get the boxes at the same time they're getting the cigars, so the cigars sit. And, you know, My Father is I think it's one of only 2 factories in the world where they have their own box making production. So they're able to time everything exactly right. And when the cigars are ready, the boxes are ready, and we get them in a timely fashion. Any of our retailers out there that currently carry the cigars, our commitment to them is to do everything we can to make sure that they're not back ordered. And so far so good. We've got a pretty state-of-the-art inventory control system at Tiante Cigar Group, and and we've been able to make sure that we have the right sort of product flow coming in. And our goal is to never back order a retailer when they order. And we felt very confident and in trusting Pepin, Jaime, and the crew over at My Father that they're able to deliver. And so far, they've been doing a great job. And that's been their reputation really throughout the industry.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, people will be able to get their hands on it. They'll be able to try it, and if they like it, they'll continue to be able to have the ability to buy it. So that's a good format. Let's why don't you? We'll start with Dan. What's the first cigar you ever smoked, Dan?
First cigar I ever smoked was actually Oliva. They actually had the I don't know if you had that. They had the red band and the black band, but they were it's kind of like a nylon made ring. It wasn't made out of paper. That was the first. That's when I really got into smoking cigars. So Oliva was the first ones I started to smoke. Now, as of late, as I've gotten older, I smoke a lot of Tatuaje, Illusion. I love the Illusion. And, obviously, anything My Father. Actually, Jaime Garcia Reserva is my go-to cigar. If it's not ours, I got a stash here of those. So I try to stay with a lot of the My Father stuff. They do really, really great work.
Agree. How about you, Mike?
Let's see. Like many folks, I started off with the more mild cigars. I got out of college. I went to work in the finance industry, and I was working for a financial advisor. And he was a big cigar smoker, and really was the reason I started smoking premium cigars. And he used to send me down to a store that was on Tremont Street here in Boston called David P. Ehrlich and Company. It's actually still in existence at a different capacity, but they've been around since 1868. Actually, that brand, that store. And he would send me walking over there with an order of cigars to get for him, and I'd go get them. He smoked a lot of Ashtons and Avos, and it was one of those two. I can't tell you which one specifically that I smoked. And then I started smoking them on the course. I moved on to Fuente. I still like a lot of what Fuente does. And but as I've gone on, I've gotten more interested in the stronger, more fuller-bodied cigars. And like Dan, I smoke a lot of Tatuaje, a lot of Illusion. I smoked a lot of Jaime's product and a lot of My Father product. I like some La Flor product as well, La Flor Dominicana. But I like a lot of the stronger stuff. It doesn't get too strong for me typically, so I like a lot of. I really like anything that has a lot of full flavor and more on the fuller bodied side.
Yep.
I like a lot of Liga Privada. I wish I could get my hands on more of them. Out there listening, you know.
You and everybody else.
A care package. A care package would be very well received.
Yeah, you and everybody else.
Yeah.
He always avoids my request for a care package.
Sorry, send that care package care of
crap.
Stogie 411, Red Lion, Pennsylvania.
It's it. Well, speaking of care packages, actually, what we didn't mention, but we will mention, the guys over at El Tiante were very generous to us over here at Stogie 411 and sent us cigars to smoke and give our opinion on. And since they were so generous and we like to be generous, we're going to give away 10 cigars from this post. It'll be 5 of the Rosado and 5 of the Oscuro. And basically, I'm not going to tell you the question now. You'll have to see when the post is up, probably tomorrow, what the question is. Everyone who answers the question correctly will be entered to win, and somebody's going to win 10 cigars. So I want to thank Mike and Dan for sending those out. That was very kind of you guys.
Happy to do it.
No problem, anytime.
So with that in mind, where do you want to go with this now, Michael? Should we get into the tough questions?
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, is there anything you can... I'm
He's
curious
thinking.
if there's anything you can tell us about anything that'll be upcoming that you're working on. Nope. See, I can see Daniel. You people can't. I see his face going. Oh,
He's like, nope.
Damn me! You shouldn't have asked that.
No, we got some. We got some pretty cool ideas. I I get made fun of that I have ADD. My mind's always on the go, and we are working on 2 more blends for the El Tiante line, and on top of that, we got some other ideas for. I like to do something else, another blend that would kind of reflect on my heritage, which would be the Cuban and the Mexican, my mom being Mexican. Pepin and I have talked about that already for about a year, and he kind of lights up every time I mention it. So last time I spoke to him, he says he has some pretty cool ideas for me with that. So we'll see what we can come up with. But it's pretty much it right now.
Yeah, and Dan and I have talked a little bit about this, and it's in the very early stages, but I think we both like to come out with a line of cigars that are called something other than El Tiante to honor, but also honor Dan's father, and sort of maybe I don't know if it'd be a limited edition or a limited production cigar, but that's probably after the next 2 blends of El Tiantes that we're going to be working pretty hard on to get out by the IPCPR show in August.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely, like we spoke before the show here, we'll definitely have both you gentlemen on again. We'll try to put it around that IPCPR. This way, you know, we can talk about something new, and hopefully we'll have video then. But I got to say, I'm kind of biased being a Red Sox fan, but the old band, I personally really liked it. You know, again, like Dan said, you know, you have to be a Red Sox fan to really understand it, to I think to truly appreciate it. But I think a limited edition or something in honor of your father would be
that's what I was
a great thing.
Yeah, that Red Sox band is not gone. Just so you know,
it's close, right? Oh, it's not gone or God?
It's not gone.
Oh, I thought you said God because I was like, it's close.
Now, it might be something I'll bring back with that band. I'll just tweak it a little bit, and you know, it's something that we might do just as a regional thing. I mean, there is such big support for us in New England, obviously. You know, I don't see why we can't do that. But a lot of people bring that band up, and I liked it a lot. So, but it's something that I think we're tweaking. Where I'm going to tweak, and who knows, maybe I'll come up with something. For
I have one left, and I'm not smoking it. It's staying there in my humidor till I go. So it's not being smoked, but
it'll be well aged, hopefully.
Yeah. It's just it's one. You know, like I said, being a Red Sox fan, and you know, I am a fan of your father's as well. So it's just something I want to keep. I know it's not out there now, and you know, it's probably hard to find anymore if there's any available still around. Am I correct? Are they still available?
I'm sitting on a pretty good stash of them.
I'm sitting on some. I'm sitting on down here in Florida.
I think Dan's got the whole lot of everything. We need to go visit Dan, Mike.
Yeah, let me tell you, it's snowing up here and it's freezing cold, and he's down there in 81-degree weather, but sitting on a stockpile of cigars from years ago.
There's a reason I moved to Florida.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But I just saw that somebody asked a question.
Sure, go ahead. We just have to ask the question because this is also in just audio and it'll be on iTunes, so nobody will know what you're answering. But
all right,
you can ask it if you want. Dan, go ahead.
Read it. All right, it's Matt Morona. What does the 75 on the band mean? If you look at the bands, again, everything that we're doing.
Hey Dan, don't give away the answer to the trivia question that's coming up.
Oh,
yeah, whatever you do, yeah, don't do that.
Listen, I think ahead. I knew where he was going, and so just answer the 75 question.
I'll just answer the 70. 75 is a meaningful year for my family. It was the year that the Red Sox went to the World Series, and my dad pitched that year for them. So on a baseball standpoint, it has a lot of meaning for my dad to be able to play in that World Series, which was really labeled the best World Series of all time. But 75 also has a stronger meaning for my family in general, because that was the year that Fidel Castro actually let my grandparents leave Cuba to, one, come see my dad play in the World Series, two, to have him live with us till they passed, and three, to basically meet my mom, who they'd never met, and my siblings and myself. that was the only two people, by the way, that Castro ever let leave Cuba on those type of terms. So 75 is a very meaningful year for my family. I wish I was a little older to enjoy it. I was just one at that time, but that's why I put that number there.
Wow. That's
yeah,
pretty
it is.
incredible.
That's an interesting story for people to hear.
Now, a lot of people don't realize, but obviously Dan's probably heard his dad tell all the stories that I've heard his dad tell many times more than me. But when you hear Louis talk about 1975, it's pretty incredible. A lot of people don't realize, and if anyone has ever seen the documentary on Louis and his trip back to Cuba, it's called The Lost Son of Havana. It's a great documentary, and it covers a lot of this. But you got to remember, Louis was he 16 or 17 when he left Cuba to play in the Latin American League?
16, I think, yeah.
So at 16 years old, Louis Tiant leaves Cuba, goes to Mexico, I believe, and plays in the Mexican League. And that was right around the time that Castro basically took over. And he gave an ultimatum to all Cuban-born baseball players playing abroad that you either come home or you never come back to Cuba again. And Dan's grandfather sent Louis a letter saying, don't come home, go pursue your dream. And so he went ahead and he ended up making it obviously very big in the major leagues. And I think in most people's opinion that pay attention really deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
But he didn't know if he'd ever see his parents again. He didn't know if he basically, and he was their only son. So here they are. They told him, go ahead and pursue your dream. And they didn't know if they'd ever see their only son, who was only 16 or 17 years old at the time. And
it's 1:45.
And so in 1975, for Louis' parents, Dan's grandparents, to be able to come over from Cuba, that was the first time in a long time that they were able to see each other, and they never were able to. Louis was never able to see his parents since he was 16 years old at that point. It's a pretty incredible story.
Yeah, it is. Now, Dan, I will ask while we're on the story with your father. Your father is still involved in baseball, correct? He works with pitching with the Red Sox or something, I was reading.
Yeah, that's correct. He's what they call a special assistant coach. So come spring training, and even during regular season, if one of the pitchers might have some problems or something to do with mechanics or something like that, they usually give him a call, and he tries to correct it, takes them out for a round of golf, and just shoots the shit with them, and then just tells them what they're doing wrong and see if they fix it or not.
Yeah.
But he's been doing that now for, I'd say, about a good 4 or 5 years now, I think. Actually, I lied. 03, I think, because 03 is when he came on board with them.
Obviously, Lackey wasn't listening to him last year. Anyways, that's a whole other subject.
A lot of those guys don't listen. They're just
unbelievable. Well, staying with your dad, Dan. I mean, tell us a little bit what it's like being the son of Louis Tiant. I mean, it's gotta.
It sucks ass. No, seriously, I love it. I always tell people that. I grew up at Fenway Park, and I would just go in the back in the hallways and just play baseball with the other kids. We're just kids. That's all we did. He went on road trips. I hated it. He was gone for 2 weeks at a time, and when you look at that, and you're a child, and your dad leaves like that, it sucks. Mm-hmm. But you understand it. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. It's fun. When you see people that love the guy and want his autograph and pictures and all that stuff. It's a pretty cool feeling. I actually had an interview about 6 years ago, kind of said the same question, and the way I answered it, on top of just he's my dad. He'd come home, and if I did something wrong, then I'd get a talk. And on occasion a good backhand.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I think I realized more how cool it was to be his son on the baseball side from my time playing, and also going to a couple of games and seeing how current baseball players react towards my dad when they see him. They're like little kids themselves. Yep. So when I see somebody like sorry to mention a couple of Yankees guys, but like Jeter, Bernie Williams. I've seen Posada. Those guys. I mean, they're like little kids. I saw Raul Ibanez hang up his phone right away and said, "I gotta shake your hand." So when you see that, it's really cool because, you know, again, I look at him as a father, you know, and these guys look at him as an icon, and they grew up watching him play. So they're like little kids. So overall, it's a really cool experience. Mm-hmm. You know, I have no complaints about it at all. I mean, he gave me a good life. He's shown me support in baseball. He's shown me support in the cigar business. He's always there for me, you know, as a dad should be. Mm-hmm. And you know, seeing his work ethic and how he was on the field and what he went through, I think has given me that same work ethic with what I'm doing now with cigars. I mean, there's days I'm in this office till 4 a.m. and I have no problem with that because I got to do what I got to do.
Right. Now, how involved is your dad with the cigar side?
He just smokes our product.
He diminishes the profits.
It's a real simple answer to that. I mean, he's going on a next trip with us to Nicaragua, and he likes to get involved. You know, if we have some of the bigger events, he definitely goes. He loves it because it's his backyard. It's his comfort zone. He's smoking cigars. He's talking baseball and meeting people. That's what the guy does, and that's what he loves to do. If he doesn't like something that we're doing and he tells me, I won't do it. So he has a lot of say. Mm-hmm. You know, it's my company, it's Mike's company. We're the ones that do the day-to-day operations, but I have his name on it. When I got El Tiante on that, I got to represent that as best as I possibly can. So if he says to me, I don't like that idea, I don't really care for this, I won't do it. And so he is fairly involved.
I don't know. I stepped away for a second, so I don't know if you mentioned this, but we sort of call him, and if you go to our website, which is tiantcigargroup.com, you'll see we refer to him in English as the patriarch of the company, and on his business cards that we gave him, it says El Patriarca. He really is the father figure, not just literally for Dan, but he's both of our father figures in terms of running this company and his insights. And when we came out with these blends and when we come out with any future blends, he's certainly going to have a lot of say in what we do there. If he doesn't like it, it's probably not coming out. So we really look to him. He certainly helps on the marketing side, and he helps in building relationships with retailers, and he's a great guy to work with and know, and he's real important to the company.
Now, will he go and help you with the blends or anything? I mean, will he fly to Dominican, Nicaragua, wherever?
Yeah, he's like I said, we're planning on having him go with us on the next trip, and more than likely, I can already see it happening. He'll just be in Pepin's office, sitting with him, talking baseball more than anything. That's what they both love to do. But
and given that Jaime's a Yankees fan,
yeah,
I hear you.
But he'll definitely, he'll sit there and let them know what he wants, and it'll be a group conference meeting, and we'll go from there. But yeah, he for him, it's like he says, it'd be dumb for you guys to have an El Tiante. He goes, and I don't even smoke it. So, which is really common sense. So he'll have some say when he gets down there.
By the way, guys, I got to paint the picture of this meeting, okay? Because Dan and I went down there to work on these blends, and so you've got Jaime, you've got Pepin there, you've got Dan and I and John Gonzalez, who's I believe now in charge of all of international sales for my father. Mm-hmm. And they're talking. They could have been calling me the worst names on the planet. I would have never known. And every once in a while, John Gonzalez or Danny would translate for me, and I don't even know if they were telling me the truth. They might have been making shit up. I heard gringo like 12 times.
Oh, that's not good.
No, El Gringo. He is referred as
the white devil.
The Gringo Loco, crazy American.
Yeah,
the great white devil.
Yeah.
That's all right.
That's too funny.
To this day, we were in Miami on Wednesday. We went and visited with Pepin, and he walks up to me, and he I don't know what he said to me. All I said is hi, gave him a hug. He's talking, and that's it.
Yeah, I met him up at one of the events here in Pennsylvania that we have up here, and I went out to smoke a cigar in the morning before the event started, and here Don Pepin was sitting next to me, and I had a El Trumfador that I was smoking that morning. Yeah, he makes for Pete, and he's like, pointing to the cigar, and yeah, it's yours, and I can't say a word to him because I know no Spanish. I am too stupid to learn another language. I can't hardly speak English right, so. Yeah, it was interesting to meet him though, but.
And let me tell you, that iTranslate app has its limitations.
I got one on here.
It doesn't translate literally. Yeah.
That translation said him.
I guess Matt wants to know if I ever sold my dad's autograph.
What was that, Dan?
I said, Matt wants to know if I ever sold my dad's autograph.
Did you?
If I knew.
By the way, Dan, I want my money back.
Now I probably would have. No, actually, no. Just to get some dates here and there, but that's about it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Never did that. He would really seriously beat my ass, big time.
Nice. Yeah, I know they just had an event. I mentioned it on. I reviewed the Friday. I reviewed your Oscuro, and I know locally they had an event. If you bought a box, they were giving away 5 balls that your father signed, and I couldn't get my silly ass there. So I was harassing Brett, telling him, hey, listen, you need to make sure I get one. So I got to put the pressure on Brett.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's see. Would you guys have a favorite shape or size cigar? And it doesn't have to be yours, just one that you normally like to smoke, a certain shape.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah, I smoke different sizes, obviously, but my go-to size is a 6x50, something like that, a Toro size.
Okay.
I don't like. I know the Gordos in the industry are really taking off sales-wise. Mm-hmm. To me, I just don't like smoking a huge ring gauge cigar. I'd rather smoke a 6x50, a 5x50, a 52 ring gauge is okay. But I typically gravitate towards the 50 ring gauge, six or so inches at 50 ring gauge.
Dan?
Me, it all depends on time. Really, but I've been smoking a lot of La Riqueza number 5.
Yep,
good smoke.
I'm actually enjoying the Petite Corona. Is actually a really good size that I like. If I have a little more time, I actually like to smoke the Toro 6x50. I usually do a couple of Churchills here and there, but again, it's all time related, but of late I've smoked a lot of the Petite Corona size cigars.
I think that depending on the cigar blend you're smoking, in other words, certain cigars out there taste. I mean, the ring gauge, the Vitola will change the flavor profile of the cigar, sometimes significantly. So there are certain cigars that I like smaller ring gauge, certain cigars I like a little larger, but for the most part it's 6x50. But I think everyone should sort of try, if they like a particular blend, you should really try all the different sizes because it does change the flavor profile quite a bit sometimes.
Yep.
Now, do you guys see yourselves maybe, it might be pretty far in the future yet, but have you ever talked about doing your own factory and doing your own, without using my father's cigars or anybody else, just your own thing?
I always thought about it, but you know what? That's something, if that was ever to happen, then 1, we are doing really, really good. And 2, that would be a ways away. Right now, I like the way it is. We have full confidence in my father cigars, and in what they do. And like Mike said earlier, if you ever get a chance to go to their factory, they are hands-on with everything. I mean, from step one to the very final step. The Peen himself doesn't take days off. He's in there himself. So it's I like what we have and where we're at right now. I don't see it anytime soon. You can't say never, but right now, no. You know, but
generally in business, I've learned that you never say never to anything.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, it's quite a commitment to own and run a factory, let alone if you want to own a farm and grow your own tobacco. And as Dan said, that's a long way away if we ever did it. Honestly, I doubt that it'll happen, but I never say never. As far as working with the Peen and my father and Jaime, we haven't really given any thought to having anyone else make any blends for us at this point. I mean, I think we're extremely loyal to the My Father company. They've been absolutely incredible to work with. They've treated us like family. And that's not an exaggeration. They've literally treated us like family. And it's been such a pleasure to work with them that it's never really even crossed our minds. Again, I'd never say never, but I just don't see a situation, at least in the foreseeable future, where we would want to have a blend from somebody else.
Matt asked a question. He says, is there a particular size that you guys would say best represents your current blends?
I'm going to go back to my Toro side. I like the Toro. I smoke lots of Toros, but it's different.
I'd have to say the Pyramid. Both of those, I think, would, because they're about the same as far as, I mean, they're both the same size, kind of. One's a 6, one's a 6 and an 8.
It's 2 o'clock.
52 ring gauge. But for the flavor to best represent those blends, I'd probably say either the Toro or the Pyramid.
Yeah, okay. It's always interesting to hear that from some of the manufacturers. I know some of them say they actually reblend the cigars for almost every size, you know, just because of the size difference. And other ones base it on a certain one and go from there. How far now? You guys are national now, right?
We're getting there. I mean, if we could find solid sales reps to cover each region, we would be national now. Currently, we are in many states. We're in a lot of cigar stores in states we don't have any sales reps because they've reached out to us and smoked the cigars. But the goal is within very short order to have full national distribution.
Okay. Now, are you looking also at the online, like the big?
We will do that. Yeah, I mean, Dan and I have talked a lot about the online stuff. And first, I want to say that we are 100% in agreement, Dan and I, that first and foremost, we're going to support the bricks and mortars. A lot of people don't realize it, but without bricks and mortars, really the industry dies.
Mm-hmm.
We've got an industry that has a lot of aging cigar smokers, and I don't see a scenario where we're going to get, the younger generation to start enjoying the great enjoyment you get out of smoking cigars by going online. Without bricks and mortars, we're not going to be able to introduce this great lifestyle to new people. So first and foremost, we'll always want to support the bricks and mortars. We will go to the online, the big online folks, but we would want to make sure that we did it so that in such a fashion that we didn't hurt or harm the folks that are really are the lifeblood of the business, which is the bricks and mortars.
Excellent response.
You'll never see us. I'm going to be careful here. Well, I don't want to say anyone in particular, but we'll never be one of those companies that sells product to bricks and mortars, and then a week later our product shows up on one of the catalogs at half the price. It's not going to happen.
Nice. That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. Well, let's see. Do you guys, do you feel any effect with all the tobacco regulations on, with certain states, such as where I am in New York? I mean, does it affect you a lot with the high tax and the S chip?
I think it affects the entire industry. I think it's real important, and I'm sure everyone, or mostly everyone that's been on your broadcast since you've been doing it, brings up the importance of making sure that the politicians that are instituting a lot of these regulations and prohibitive tax policies on our product, it's real important that we get involved and make sure we talk to the politicians and join groups like CRA, and the IPCPR does a good job with going and getting our message across to the politicians. But you know, a lot of people don't realize, but every cigar that we import and everybody else imports at the border, before we can put our hands on it, it costs us 40 cents a cigar in taxes, federal taxes, to go to the S chip, which is supposedly meant to pay for children's health care. But I mean, I don't know, but you know, I won't go into the mechanics of the way the government works, but it, you know, that's 40 cents a cigar, and that has real effects on the end price when everyone out there goes and buys a cigar. I mean, it in many cases can mean an extra $1.60 per cigar at the retail level, and that's a real problem. Then you add to that each individual state that has their sort of sin tax, if you will, excise tax. In Massachusetts, I think it's 30 or 31. I think New York's 75, right?
Yep.
California actually just lowered theirs, but it was in the 70s. Now it's down in the 30s. But now every retailer that buys our cigar has to pay 30% of the wholesale cost in Massachusetts, 70 plus in New York, and then they mark that up. And next thing you know, if you buy a $10 cigar, you're looking at sometimes $3 or $4 in taxes. So sure, it affects us big time. It affects the entire industry, and in this industry, it's a really unique industry in that we're all competitors, but we're all friends.
Yep.
And we all help each other out. And one of the greatest things of this industry is when all of the major companies like the Rocky Patels of the world and the big players, we all are on the same page in many respects, but specifically when it comes to this regulation, we all want to do everything we can to make sure that this great lifestyle of cigar smoking is allowed to continue. And we need to make sure that we voice our opinions as a group to the politicians. It does affect everybody.
That's one nice thing about living in Pennsylvania. No, yep.
That's the only nice thing about living in Pennsylvania.
No cigar tax.
Wow.
That's it. Move to Pennsylvania for no cigar tax. No other reason, because, well, other than the Phillies and the Steelers.
That's it.
And the Flyers. But
So, like he said, go there for the no cigar tax.
There you go. Oh, Christ. Well, that's it. How about let's talk a little bit about the Cuban embargo, and we'll go to Dan on this one. What effect do you think, Dan, it'll have, you know, if it is lifted on the industry?
I don't think it'll have an effect.
No.
I mean, it's going to take a while for those cigars to come into this market and you know, and establish themselves. I mean, I think the fact that they're illegal at this point adds to the fact that you want to try the Cubans. But I've always talked this with other people, and you know, my dad as well. You know, it's, you know, right now this market, you go to the Nicaraguan, Honduran cigar, Dominican cigar, they're just as good or even better. I don't see it really affecting much of it. I could be wrong, but I don't. I mean, you're looking at another, I think, several years before once it gets to the part of the production where it's up to pace with everyone else to really be in the same, you know, as far as competition or being in the same market with everybody else with all the cigars coming out. I'm starting to see a lot of people in Europe now trying Nicaraguan and Honduran cigars and going away from Cubans. I met a few people yesterday, this past week, some yesterday and some the other week, from France, and they were all trying new things. You know, they're trying Nicaraguans and then actually all really stepping away from Cuba. So they're starting to see that the manufacturers in these other countries and the cigars coming out of these countries are, like I said, just as good or even better. I don't know. Like I said, I could be wrong, but me personally, I don't really see it being that big of an impact.
That's what I've been seeing. I think the Cubans right now, the quality has dropped quite a bit for the manufacturing of them, and I think that's going to be the biggest problem. You know, with the Cuban market trying to come on board. I mean, everything that's coming from Nicaragua, Honduras, Dominican Republic, it's all well made. It's all quality controlled. Most of it, I'll say. Let's say most of it. Won't name any names, but
right.
And I think that's going to be the biggest problem with the Cuban entering our market. People are going to want to try them just because they couldn't get them before. They didn't know where to buy them. Everybody's going to rush out to get them, and they're going to just go right back to the cigars that we've had for years and years that have just gotten better and better.
I got a lot of thoughts on that, and I think of it a little bit differently. One, there's a lot of problems that Cuba's going to have, the Cuban cigar company's going to have once the embargo is lifted. I mean, you think about, for instance, you take a company like La Gloria Cubana. They have a U.S. trademark on that name. So it's not like the Cuban brands, Punch. It's a U.S. trademark. So the Punch from Cuba can't call itself Punch anymore when it comes to the United States. So they're going to have, it's going to be hard for them, even once the embargo is lifted, to take Monte Cristo. You think of all these major Cuban names. Well, there's U.S. trademarks on these names now, and they're different companies. So I don't think it's going to be as easy for the Cuban cigar manufacturers to penetrate the U.S. market. Second, the reason the quality in Cuba has dropped in terms of the manufacturing is because you have a lot of these incredible rollers that existed years ago, and they're not replacing them fast enough. And so the craft has fallen. But there's a benefit to the Cuban embargo being lifted for all of us. Mm-hmm. Think about a guy like Pepin getting his hands on Cuban tobacco and then blending a cigar or several cigars using that tobacco right from Cuba. And I think the biggest benefit to cigar smokers here is not going to be the Cuban brands that exist now coming over here. It's going to be the world's greatest blenders from Nicaragua and Dominican and all over the world getting their hands on this tobacco and creating blends that will make the existing Cuban blends non-existent. I think that we'll forget quickly about the Monte No. 2s, which is a great cigar from Cuba, but because you'll get a guy like Pepin or Ernesto Carrillo or Fuego, and I don't want to leave anyone out, but there's a lot of great blenders out there that will be able to now create blends that'll just knock your socks off, and that's what excites me about the potential that the Cuban embargo gets lifted.
Yeah, that's and now the only thing with that, I remember we had a guest on the show. I can't remember if it was Pete or who it was. We were talking about that, and I said almost basically the same thing like you said. I can't wait to see the special blends people make. And they brought up the fact that they think it's going to be hard to do just because Cuba is not going to be able to produce enough tobacco to supply the demand for their cigars. So it's going to be hard to find just the Cuban tobacco to use for these other manufacturers. Now, like you said, I think some of the big names, like Don Pepin, I think he's going to be able to get his hands on some. If he wants something, he can pretty much get it. But yeah, I think some of the smaller manufacturers are going to have some trouble getting their hands on it just because there's just not enough volume.
Right. And if you think about what Dan brought up with the European market, in Europe you could smoke any cigar you want. You can smoke Cubans, non-Cubans, and for a long time, Cuban sales have not been as high as non-Cuban sales in Europe. So it tells you that even where in markets where people have the choice to buy or not buy Cubans, they're overwhelmingly starting to go more and more towards non-Cubans. So I'm not worried about it from that standpoint.
All right, you got anything else, Mike?
All right. Yeah, we'll ask the ultimate blogger question there, and we'll get their opinion on it and see if they have anything else, because we're getting around the end of our show here, and like I said, we'll definitely have Mike and Dan back on again. later in the year when we can have video, and hopefully Skype will fix it.
Guys, it might be better without the video, to be honest.
Oh, no, it's better with the video. Trust me. Plus, we can see Dan's stash that he's sitting on. But we'll ask this question. We ask pretty much everybody that comes on the show. We want your honest opinion. Bloggers, love them or hate them?
You want me to go first, Dan?
Yeah. I don't mean it like that in a bad way.
Okay.
Look, I think that, like anything else, there are good bloggers, bad bloggers, on any subject. I think that, for the most part, I think blogging in the cigar industry is a wonderful thing. I think it helps to get information out. It helps to get helps a small company like us to get the word out about our cigars without having to, spend tens of thousands of dollars initially on one-page ad in a major cigar publication. So, for the most part, I'm glad that bloggers are out there. I think that bloggers are great for the industry in total. But there are some out there that let's say, don't do their homework. And the problem with blogging in general that can arise, and again, I like bloggers. I'm glad that in general bloggers exist. But occasionally you'll get somebody that'll just put something out there, and once it's out there, you can't be corrected.
Yep.
I mean, it can be, but still people will see it, and if it's false, inaccurate, it's not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It can be very damaging, and so that's the risk that comes associated with the advent of the internet and blogging and everything else. That being said, I mean, I think you guys, the way we got to know you guys is through social media and Twitter and Facebook and all of that stuff, and we reach out to bloggers, and we're happy to talk to bloggers and do interviews like this, and it's all wonderful in general. But I just wish that everyone that's going to create a blog that sort of is trying to put themselves out as being knowledgeable truly does their homework before they put something out on their blog.
Okay. Dan?
All right. Before I answer this, what the hell is that clock over there that's saying 2:15, 2 o'clock?
I think it's on Mike's end. He's just let him know it's time to take his meds.
Yeah.
Probably is.
I don't know what that is. It's coming up.
It's my computer, guys, and I don't know how to shut the damn thing off. My kids use this thing, and I mean, it's crazy. Every like 15 minutes, it'll tell you what time it is. So if anyone has an appointment, they won't miss it during the broadcast.
Well, to answer your question about bloggers, listen, when it comes to social media and blogging and all that, like Mike said, it helps everybody. It helps this industry. It helps smaller cigar companies get their name out there. So it is a very helpful tool. I do believe some bloggers should do their homework before they just go out there and say what they have to say, because it can be damaging.
Sure.
One of the things that is like a big pet peeve of mine, especially with cigars, I want consumers to try everything out there. That's the best way you know what your palate is, what you like, what you enjoy as far as cigars go.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Pyramid Rosado in our blend. Somebody else might hate it. It's just not for them. That's the beauty of it. When somebody can say something as damaging as this cigar isn't good or this cigar is harsh, I take it with a grain of salt, because it's just somebody expressing their opinion, but it can be damaging in the sense that there's a lot of people out there that will just believe what they read.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that really bothers me at times. Again, if it isn't for, I mean, with bloggers and everything, you get to meet people that live in Michigan, that live in Ohio or in California that you probably would never have met. So it's a beautiful thing in that sense. You do come together with something that you all have in common, and that's actually to be able to enjoy great cigars, this lifestyle. But on the other note, I do believe they need to be more cautious on the way they say things, because not everybody, and I'm not saying it's bad, because like I said before, if I read something and it says the cigar stinks, a lot of people will just be turned away by that. Me personally, I'm the opposite. I'll try it because I want to see if I really do like it or not. Just like any movie critic out there. You know, some of the all-time classics were criticized as movies, and they're movies that they're going to remain in the movie classics for forever. So, you know, you got to form your own opinions, and that's the way I look at things. It's good to have. It's a good way to get information on a particular blend. But, you know, like I said, read it, take it with a grain of salt. That's what that guy thinks. You go buy the cigar, and if you like it, great. If you don't, you don't. But when it comes to bloggers, I'm all for it because, like I said, it's helped us tremendously to get our cigars out there. I mean, I got people calling me from Missouri, from Kansas, to open up accounts, and we don't even have reps there yet. But why? Because they see it on Twitter, they see it on Facebook, they see it on blogs, so they're interested in it. So it's a very helpful tool.
Yeah. I would just say one last thing on that.
Sure, go ahead.
There are opinions and there are facts. One's opinion is their opinion. We can't change that. And when a blogger says this is my opinion, whatever their opinion is their opinion. They can say whatever they want. The issue comes when somebody says something as if it's a fact and it's actually not a fact. And that can be very damaging. And I love the idea of blogging. I think it's wonderful, and I think you guys do a great job, and I think there are several others that do a great job. And I just, again, going back to verifying the facts before we put them out there as facts, I think it's real important and almost incumbent upon every blogger, if they're going to say something as if it's a fact, to verify it's a fact. I'll give you an example. A story came out, it was a very positive story, actually, about our cigars. I see people tweeting about it, and I didn't even know it was coming out. It was about a few weeks ago, and I said, boy, it would be nice if they had contacted us and asked us a question. We could have given them, you know, some more additional information.
Right.
When it comes to putting something out as if it's a fact, I just think it's real important to every blogger out there to do their homework and make sure that it's a fact, that they got their facts correct. That's all I'd say.
No, I agree.
But all in all, I love bloggers.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, you know, I can say myself, you know, besides this show, but doing reviews on my other site, you know, I always just tell everybody, listen, this is just my opinion of what I'm getting from this cigar, and go out and try it. Whether, you know, I enjoyed it or I didn't, it wasn't for my palate, because everybody's palate's different. And all bloggers doing reviews, it truly is an opinion, and that's all it is. Yep. It's an opinion. My opinion, your opinion, someone else's opinion may not always be the same, but it doesn't mean that the cigar is just bad. It just means, for me, my palate, this was good, this wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Just be honest. That's all you can do. But when you're stating facts, yeah, I agree with you 100%. You need to be spot on with your facts, because, like you said, even though you can put a little clause in there and say, "Oh, I made a mistake. This is what it should have been." It's too late. It's already out.
Yeah. Right. It's out there, and sometimes it does damage, and it's too late to get it back.
Absolutely.
And I would just say that, you know, when I read blogs or reviewers reviewing cigars that come from a factory that I know makes consistently great, high-quality cigars, and they say the cigar fell apart, the cigar cracked, the cigar did this, my reaction is, all right, so there are a number of reasons something like that can happen.
Yep.
Either they used the improper tools to cut it, they didn't use a good high-quality cutter or something, or they didn't take care of it or store it properly or something like that. But if I know it came from, you know, a Pepin factory or from Fuego or from any of the Carrillo, I know that I'm going to go out and try that cigar and sort of, you know, not worry so much about that commentary on the quality of product, because I know what comes out of those factories. So it's just real important we be careful when we put something out there for everyone to read.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
That's you know, like when I do the reviews and everything, I always tell everybody, you know, I like to have at least 5 of the cigar, so I know, you know, across the line, if I have one that splits, cracks, blows up, does whatever, if the other ones don't do it, it was a fluke. I mean, they're all handmade products. I mean, you can have a problem here and there. That, you know, that's almost expected.
Right.
Look, I think everybody's pretty much smart, they're intelligent, and can make their own decisions. You know, like I said, some people do read stuff, and then they just go by what they read.
Yep.
I just think you just got to be cautious with what's said, and it's right. If it's not for you, it's not for you. It might be for somebody else.
Except Devil's Weed.
Try it.
Oh my God! I don't care who's this. I don't care who watches. Whatever. If you want to try that new Devil's Weed, you're a sucker. That's all I can say. That thing just sucks ass. How about that for fact? There's a fact.
Never had it.
Ask Mike.
Oh boy, the email, the Stogie 411 email will be blowing up in about half an hour.
Hey, the original blend was great. I'll give it it sucks ass. I'm sorry. Try you guys see now. You guys will have to go out. You have to look that up. There's only one place you can get it online. Well, two places actually, but it's owned by the same company. And I can guarantee you'll see the exact same thing I just did.
Now I'm gonna have to try it.
I'm gonna have to try it. And come back on at the end of the year and let us know how wrong Mike was. But he's not. I have to admit it.
He'll have a whole humidor stacked with him. I'll be like, oh man.
I'll just give you a facial expression of some sort, man.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Well, listen, guys, before we let you go, is there anything you want to mention or say? We'll make sure we put a link up to your Twitter names and to your site. And once again, I want to apologize for Skype letting us down. And we definitely were very happy to have you guys on. And anything we missed that you want to mention before we let you go?
Go ahead, Mike. You can go first.
The only thing I would say is we're going to be doing a lot of events all over the place, and the best place to find out about them, we tweet about them. They go on cigarevents.com. By the way, those guys are awesome over there. Mike's a great guy. And go to our Facebook page and our website. Our website's tiantecigargroup.com. Our Facebook is Tiant Cigar Group. And like us on there, and you'll be right up to speed with everything we're doing. There's going to be a lot of good announcements coming out.
Dan, anything?
Nah, you know what? I just thank you guys for giving us this opportunity. Really, it's a good way for us to get out there. And like Mike said, just you can follow us on Twitter, our Facebook, our website, and hopefully we can continue coming out with some good cigars and making everybody happy. That's really what we want to do, and I love doing this. So,
great.
Thank you guys.
No, thank you. The pleasure's ours, and I think you're on the right path. You know, I think you got two really good cigars there. So, keep up the hard work and say hello to your father.
Will do.
And we'll talk.
I'll say hello to my father too.
Yeah, Mike, you say hello to your dad too. You send him love from Stogie 411.
He couldn't throw a fastball through a window, but I'll say hi to him anyway.
Oh, one more thing, though, before I go. I'm not the most technical savvy kind of guy. Believe it or not, I did work in IT for a while. But if you do go on the website, I got to correct something because I updated it and I fucked it up. So if it looks all wacky, it's the idiot over here in Florida. I think the sun's getting to my head.
Well, at least he didn't blame it on Mike. We blame everything on the other Mike. Yeah. We just said Mike fucked it up.
Normally I do, but this one I can say it was me.
All right.
All right. Well, listen, Mike and Dan, thank you so much. The pleasure was all ours, and we'll definitely set up a date for later in the year, guys, and we wish you nothing but success.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
See you later.
Have a good day.
You too.
All righty.
Well, it's just Mike and I now. Again, we're still without video, but
no video, no nothing. What a Skype let us down.
When Skype pops up that little message that we're having problems with group chat and you cannot use it right now, right before the show starts, that causes problems.
Yeah. Screwed us. But I want to thank everybody in the chat room. And remember, the post should be up tomorrow or Monday. Matt will get it up. Once you see the post up, answer the question in a comment. Leave a comment with the answer to the question, and you'll be eligible to win the 10 cigars. Again, we're giving away 5 of the Rosado and 5 of the Oscuro, thanks to the fine people over at El Tiante. And we want to thank everybody for joining us once again. And we'll be back on February, let me check my calendar quick, February 9th at 7 p.m. That's a Thursday night show. And we will have Barry who is now with Miami Cigars. He will be on our show, and that should be an interesting show. We got a lot to talk about, going from being a blogger to actually working for a manufacturer. So it should be fun.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I mean, everybody, probably remembers Barry from the blogosphere and
cigar smoker.
Now, being with Miami Cigar, and I'm definitely going to have to figure out how the hell he worked it out. Because what was it, a week after he was hired and down there, he goes on a company cruise with him. I'm like,
yeah, I don't know.
What was that? I would have.
We'll have to find out
made
his
him
secret.
Stay there and work the office or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I would have too. So tell people the question. Matt wants to know. Okay, we'll tell you the question now. We'll give those who joined us in the chat room an advantage. The question is, tell us what number Louis Tiant wore as a member of the Boston Red Sox. So that's easy to find. So find that answer, put it in the comment once Matt gets it up. So that's going to be it. We're done here. We're going to pout because Skype let us down. And again, thanks to everyone in the chat room. We'll see you guys all Thursday, February 9th at 7 p.m. See yous.